I was asked to do a video of what my perceptions of what love is. And I thought I did quite a few videos on that topic before, but I thought I'd make another one. To me, how can I say it? How I experience love, what feels love to me, like it's an amazing feeling. It's an acceptance from somebody else. It's somebody that's willing to always see that you have a smile on your face and you feel good about yourself. You love what you're doing. I mean, all aspects of how you live your life is, joyous, excitement. It's an amazing feeling of everything that would be good. And how I, female, feel loved, let's say, is oranges. Now, from my observation, males who want to feel the exact same thing feel it with apple. Now, the exchange of love is when somebody who happens to experience love through apples perceives his reality that everybody else will feel love if they just have apples. So they just keep throwing apples at you, thinking, here, do you feel the love? Do you feel the love? Now, somebody that feels love with oranges ain't really feeling the love because they happen to not like apples whatsoever. It doesn't make their day, it makes them feel everything that's not love because they only feel love with oranges. So that's where it gets complicated, is our perceptions of how we feel loved. We think everybody else will feel love in that same way, and that's just not right. For the most part of what I've seen is males generally have been more dominant. They've been the hunters. They've been the caregivers, while females have been the nurturers. Giving birth to a child, you nurture the child, you give that child love. So there, it can be more looked at that males, while in hunting, they repeat the same patterns over and over again. They know how to hunt, and they will hunt in the same way all the time, because, they're in their logical left brain. This is what logically has always worked. This is the way it will always work. Where females are more right-brained and more intuitive, because when you're raising a child, the child doesn't speak. So you have to be in tune with the needs of what a child wants. When a child is hungry, it has many different cries, and only from a nurturing perspective can you understand the language of what every cry means. Where the male is not listening to a baby's cry, he's left that job up to the female to understand the needs of another person, the baby. So females have generally been able to understand what the needs of males are because they're intuitive beings. Where there's a conflict because females think that males have the same ability, that how come you're not intuitively knowing what I need? How come you aren't intuitively seeing how I perceive love to be? You just keep pushing how you want to feel loved on me, but you're not really understanding me, where females are always constantly understanding males. And that's where you get this, men are living on Mars and females are living on Venus. And we think that we're on completely different planets, when actually we are. We're in the left brain, right brain different planets. And the two need to merge And that merging is taking place, mostly because of this women's lib. Females have now transformed into males. You can see that females are starting to be a lot more dominant. They're losing their ability to be intuitive, and they're very, very stuck in their logic mind of repeating the same thing. From my experience, most of the way the world has fallen apart is because of females, because they've lost their ability, and now they're even more powerful than the male hunters type. So it's really, really a wild game, and you can see that males are starting to adapt to more females and be a lot more intuitive. So it's like the game has completely changed, where probably males now would be more intuitive than females, just because of the mixed DNA. When you get, you have to really understand what DNA is, but you get your traits from both your parents, and you get the traits of a female and you get the traits of a male, and it is now into the new child, and you play that game out over generations. You are constantly mixing the two planets together, basically. So it is a really interesting phenomenon that's going on. For me, I think that if you are experiencing love towards each other, it is all in that right brain thinking. The right brain controls heart. The heart only functions out of love. If you understand, every organ has its purposes, and there is an energy force that makes your heart pump, and that energy force is love. And if you have heart problems, generally you can see within your family dynamics that there is a problem within love in your family. Either you love so much and being misunderstood that it will eventually cause you heart problems. Either you don't love your body enough that you'll cause yourself heart disease. If you look at the causes of all heart problems, you'll see there's a lack of love going on someplace in your life. And ironically, my family history is all of them have died from heart problems. And when I see, because there is a definite genetics of abuse, both sides of my parents, my grandparents on both sides had very abusive relationships. Both grandfathers were alcoholics, and both grandmothers were enablers. And then my parents were abusive, where my mother eventually claimed that she was an alcoholic, which I don't judge whether she is or not. I just never really seen her drink. She would come home and have a beer once a day, read her newspaper before she started making supper. But in her mind, she did that because it was her way of handling things, and there was a support group that she could belong to. So I think she basically just wanted to say, have some form of belonging that she wasn't getting within her family dynamics that made her think she was an alcoholic, but she didn't have any alcoholic behaviors that I could see, other than all of the same symptoms, behaviors, everything that was going on she had except for the alcohol. So I could see why she probably went in that direction. My father wasn't an alcoholic, but my brother definitely is, and the one that's feeding the alcohol. I mean, I've watched my brother come over and drink like a friggin' fish, and my father's there pouring the drinks for him all the time, and then watching him drive his family home drunk and not realizing that my brother was an alcoholic and my father was the one feeding him, while my father has always been totally against alcohol because his father was an alcoholic. He kind of gambled the house away kind of made him, the oldest of 10 kids, the one financially responsible for all his siblings. So it's kind of really, really messed up. But getting back to what love is, I think that the only way that we will ever truly understand and experience what love is if we start using more right brain experiences and develop more of our intuitive ability to see that we read what the other person feels love with and willing to give that to that other person. That will to always make that person feel alive, wanting to enjoy life. You know, like when you do that for another person, then you feel an enormous amount of love within yourself, but it's also extremely painful when that's not returned. When you are the only one loving and no love is being, given towards you, it's really, really a painful experience. Love is a two-way street. You can't just be given love, you actually have to receive love as well. And a lot of that is a lack of communication. We don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to express ourselves. We don't even know that this phenomenon is going. So it's like you can't blame anybody for doing as we're doing. We just didn't know any better. But it's getting to the point where, okay, now we know better. Are we going to do better? And to increase your right brain, to increase that intuitive ability, then stimulate your right brain is by doing anything that's right-brained, which is, do some art. Art is anything imaginative will stimulate the right brain. Years ago, somebody gave me the advice that, well, if you really want to experience love, see the beauty in a flower. That never made any sense to me whatsoever, and but now I started to understand it, that when you see the beauty in a flower, then you can experience a higher degree of love. But it is a two-way street. You can't be love within self. It has to be experienced within a group, either between a partnership or between families, between a community, globally. It's got to be experienced, giving and receiving from all. Anything short of that is nothing but hate. So there's my conclusions. There's my observation of what I think love is. Peace out.